Life is boring. Have you ever heard somebody say that to you? Well, hello once again. This is Dr. John Hawkins, Sr., and I'm the president and owner of Gateway Counseling Center located here in Boynton Beach, Florida. Welcome to my Overcomer blog. We've been a little series here dealing with the life of Solomon and from the book of Ecclesiastes. And we have this material up on our website and YouTube, both in our written blogs and our video blogs. And today I want to talk to you about this subject, about life being boring. Sometimes our kids used to say that. That was kind of a rule that we had around our house. You're not allowed to say that. If you would, then we'd find you something to do, which they'd usually want to go out and play, instead. But Solomon felt a little bit like that. He said life is vain. It's empty. Life was boring. It's the same old thing. He said there's nothing new under the sun. Solomon had lived long enough to know that life was just a series of cycles that repeat themselves. The same old, same old. And ever felt that way about your life? I just, I go to bed, I get up, I get ready, I go to work, I come home, I eat supper, I go to bed, on it goes. And sometimes we feel bored about that. Well, in chapter 1 of the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon the writer, he asks a series of questions about this subject. I'm going to look at a few of them. Here's the first question he asks. What do we get by working so hard all of our life? He asks that in verse 3. You can read that sometimes. And in this generation, he's talking about the idea that one generation comes on the scene, works hard, and then dies. Then another generation comes on and does the same thing. And then another generation, and then another generation. It's just this endless cycle. And this cycle really happens to every institution. It's the same cycle that happens in business, in government, in churches, in the family. One generation comes up to the leadership, the power, they run things the way they think they should, and then they die off and the next generation comes on and on it goes. Now the reality is no one owns the earth or anything in it. As each generation passes off the scene, we may think we own things and we build maybe empires and businesses, and we have our names on bank accounts and titles and all of that, but eventually we die and nothing goes with us, and it all just goes on to the next generation. And it passes on to them, and really we're just renters in this world. We don't really own anything. We have it for a while, we use it, we manage it, and then another group of what I call delusional renters takes our place. And they think the same thing. They're going to own things and possess things until they die, and it just passes on. It's just this endless cycle that happens. And so that brings us to the point, why am I working so hard? If I'm just going to leave it behind and it's going to pass on to somebody else, and I really have no control of what they do with it. Do they build on it? Do they blow it? What do they do with it? So is there a point to working so hard in life? Well, the short answer is yes. See, we were created to work. God teaches a theology of work in the book of Genesis in chapter 2, verses 15 to 16. This goes all the way back to the beginning of creation, before sin and the fall ever came into the picture, when everything was perfect and we were going to live forever. The Bible tells us that God put man into the garden to work it and keep it. Two interesting words. To work it and keep it. Even when everything was perfect, even when everything was what we would call heaven on earth. Which I think that's what heaven's going to be. Sometimes we think heaven is we just sit around and pluck harps or have one long, endless church service. But there'll be things to do. There'll be work to do. See, God gave man a mandate. He said to subdue the earth, have dominion over it, meaning that we were supposed to engage in work that would unlock the secrets of the creation to the benefit of other people. Because everything we need in life, everything that's ever been invented, technology, medicine, anything that has improved our lives, has all been invented and created from something that was already here. God is the only original creator. And so work gives us purpose. It gives us dignity. It gives us a good feeling about ourselves. It's part of living out our design. Now, we're to live it out with balance. It's not that work is all that we do, but it's a part of what we do. So in spite of these cycles, the challenge is to discover the work and the career that God has designed us for. And it's part of living life with purpose. Second question that Solomon asked is whether we realize that the earth is a closed system of endless cycles, and everything just keeps repeating itself. He talks about that in verses 4 and 5 and through 7 in chapter 1. He says the sun rises and the sun sets. The wind blows south and goes around to the north and around on its circuits. It keeps repeating itself. The streams run into the sea, but the sea isn't full. Why is that? Well, because it evaporates and goes back up into the clouds, and when the clouds get full, the rain comes down and it runs back into the rivers and streams, which run back into the ocean, and it's just an ongoing cycle. Life is like one endless Groundhog Day movie. Now, we ask that question kind of out of frustration and this idea of boredom. And we really have no power over these cycles, even if we think that we do. But we really don't. No matter what earth-shattering historical events happen in this world or in your life, the sun always comes up tomorrow. The next day always goes on, and all these cycles repeat themselves, whether we're here or whether we're not here. And we're fools to think that we can control or tame these natural elements. If we could, then there wouldn't be any hurricanes or tornadoes or tsunamis. There wouldn't be any of these natural disasters that wreak havoc and destroy thousands of lives. Now, the truth is, some cycles are good, and they're worth repeating. See, cycles and systems could be of benefit to a country, to a business, to a government, to a family, if we work with them, if we understand them. See, we don't have to reinvent the wheel on everything we do. You know, human nature is such that it gets bored once the newness is wore off of something. You ever buy a brand new car and enjoy that new car smell and think, man, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to keep this thing spotless. I'm going to get the oil changed. I'm going to do everything to make this thing stay new. And a year or two in, you get a scratch here, a dent there. Kids make a mess inside. And after a while, you know, okay, I'm bored with this car. I'm ready to get another one. Now, God has given us some life principles that are as relevant today as when he first gave them thousands of years ago. And so we should accept them and live them out and pass them from one generation to the next. And they'll have certain cycles in them that will be very beneficial, to us. Now, here's the third question it brings up. What is the point of trying to do anything since it's already all been done? He asks that in verses 8 to 10 of chapter 1. These ongoing patterns of sameness had discouraged Solomon. he kind of had the feeling, well, it just seems like there's no purpose to life. Everything that's going to be has already been done. So what's the point of trying to do anything? So he just wanted to give up before he started. You know, people do this all the time in their life. They have an idea for a book, for a business, for a product. They get real excited about it, but before they start to execute on it, they talk themselves out of it. They say things like this: well, it's really not that good of an idea. I don't think I'll do it. Does the world really need another, and you can fill in the blank there, whatever your idea was. Who do I think I am that I could actually do this? Oh, someone else has already done this already. Or, well, somebody else has already tried this and failed at it, so I probably will. So before they even begin, they have talked themselves out of it. And then one day, they look, they see something on TV, they read an article, and somebody has done the very same idea that they had and made a success of it. And then they're kicking themselves. And they probably had the same thoughts, the same negative thoughts, same problems, everything. The difference was they decided not to listen to that, and they went ahead and worked and executed on that. There is a point of trying. Now, it is true, there really is nothing new under the sun, except for one thing, and that's you. You are unique. You're one of a kind. That's why we all have individual fingerprints. And God designed you with a special design, and he puts you at a certain point in time in human history. And there'll never be another you. Whatever you do, it could be a similar product or service, whatever, but the difference is going to be you. Look how many singers are out there. Look how many actors are out there. Each one gets its own feeling, its own following, because of who they are. So you see, don't minimize you. You're the one unique thing in that mix. That God has designed you for what that purpose is. Every generation has things it will need. And something doesn't have to be original. It just needs to fill a need at a particular point in time. Solomon had some other questions along these lines, but God had the answers. And if we could summarize it, life is never boring when you are living out God's design. I hope you'll think about that and remember it. And let us help you discover and live that out. If you'd like to find more about Gateway Counseling, you could find us at gatewaycounseling.com on the web. I hope you'll look it up. And I look forward to maybe seeing you sometime. And don't forget, you too can be an overcomer. Till next time, I'll see you then. Goodbye and God bless.